All right, guys. Recording started. Welcome to another Cardinal House AMA. I'm Chris. I'll be your host for the day. We have something a little bit cool. I think for the times it really fits. Collective finance up here. Chrome, you'll be, I think, leading it off. We got something a little bit different than most DeFi that we usually get into. So it's going to be good to kind of go through everything you guys are doing and how you guys do it, and the benefits that you can get, and the balance of DeFi to TradFi that you guys are bridging. You're bridging this gap. But anyways, I like to start things off just a little bit differently. Chrome, I know you've been here a couple times, or at least listened in a couple times. I really like to get into getting to know each one of you guys just a little bit better. I think it gives some more context behind the protocol and who the people are up here. But if you guys are ready, we'll go through a couple questions that I got, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so this is actually, I think, going to be a really big one. This first one I got, I think it's really important, especially considering the times right now. So what are each of your individual strategies for purchasing or holding crypto? Are you guys BCAing or swing trading, doing trading bots? Like, what are each of your personal strategies? I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, obviously, we've been a little bit, our hands have been a little bit full with the project. So I personally haven't been doing trading in like a little while here. But back when it was a lot of, I was practicing a lot of leverage trading, and then realized that, bots were looking kind of like the new next play. So that's kind of where I stand right now, is more focusing on just like letting the bots do the trading for me, letting them put in the work.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. How
I
about
can
for
tell
you,
you.
MP?
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think personally for me, it's investing in teams, with everything that sort of bad has happened, God, and how knows long, making sure, investing in folks that have a really good team. I think for me too, there's a few sort of special, I want to call them advisors, that I call with their, sort of follow their advice. So I'm much more focused now than I used to be. Much more loose with my investments, I would say. I think now I'm much more focused in the crypto space.
For sure. You kind of have to be, right? Like with how the markets are, you can't afford to put things out there. MP, how about you, man?
Well, if you're talking about DCA and let's say entry points, I think the entry point should have been a couple of months back. Right now, the market is picking up a little bit. Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, right? Nobody knows where or how high it's going to go or what direction it's going to go, all of that. But I think that the general overarching market sentiment is that you want to hold, or you want to put your money or cash into a store of value, and a very good tried and true asset is gold, right? And of course, there's digital gold, which is Bitcoin. So yeah, that's definitely the narrative that we identified quite a while ago, and we built out our protocol based on that. So yeah, I've been focusing on acquiring assets rather than cash.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I kind of want to branch that, and you touched a little bit on this next question, but first, Crypto, do you want to give kind of what's your take on with where the markets are? What's your strategy?
Yeah, I've got some family that also kind of trade in the stock markets too, and are day traders, and along with close friends in DeFi. I look at DeFi more like a business now instead of just a platform to moon on. I lost a lot of money because I trusted people, and it's not that I don't trust them to a certain point anymore. It's just their financial background is not superb. So I noticed there's a lot of folks in DeFi that try to go in there and build things and don't have business structure or history behind them. So things tend to fall apart over time. So DCAing and positions that I'm entering is folks that are focused on building a business for the long term. And sure, of course, it's going to be your blue chips and gold and whatnot. But yeah, just like NP said, the entry point should have been probably a little while back, but I think it's still a good time to enter. So
Gotcha. So really focusing on the DCing into those blue chips. I like it. I like
not
it.
necessarily just blue chips, but like
Okay.
business guys themselves as well, like their projects.
Yeah.
DCing into certain altcoins that, there's business developers behind them, right? So
Mhm. For sure. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And kind of branching now from a couple of those pieces, where do you guys think the markets are headed? Do you think right now we are in the middle of a slow run up, or do you guys think that we are, we may have hit our lows at the very least, or, where are you guys at? Do you think we're moving forward, moving upwards, or moving back down from here?
Oh yeah, good question. I think that again, this is never anything I ever say is not going to be financial advice, but I will be
Yes.
starting to pick some more up here slowly as I see kind of what happens in the central banking and banking in the U.S. There's some pivotal moments happening. So I don't know if you want to go back and listen to some of our other chats, but we have a gentleman that's really, really smart, or AMA, sorry. We have a gentleman that's really, really smart with the markets, and he kind of brought up some good points yesterday, and I kind of believe him. So I think that we're closer to the bottom side than we are the top side, but it's a possibility with the volatile market that it could move a little bit. So on the downside, in my opinion, but I'm bullish right now at this point, kind of looking ahead.
Gotcha. Good stuff. How about for you, Gold Dog?
Yeah, I feel the same way as Crip in that I'm absolutely bullish. I'm sorry, my voice sounds so bad. I'm just losing it. But a lot of talk in the last few days. But
Yeah.
no, I think like Crip said, what gets me, it's that volatility, that uncertainty, the global macroeconomic, I guess, situation is somewhat unsettling, right? And I think
Mhm.
it's in a very fragile spot, right? Um, so, and it's actually one of the reasons when you look at collective, we'll probably get into this more, but you get a little bit of exposure of everything, right, through the whole
Mhm.
gamut, from gold to a potentially volatile altcoin to Bitcoin and some stables. So, yeah, I think we're closer to the bottom than the top, but I think there's going to be some rough waters before things really start to change.
For sure. How about for you, MP?
Well, okay, so I just look at the statistics, right? So if you look at the market capitalization of gold as
Mhm.
well as Bitcoin, it's just increasing. And part of the reason for that is because of all of the inflation that's going around, right? So you need more US dollars to buy one Bitcoin or to buy one piece of gold or silver or any commodity. But the fantastic thing about assets and commodities in general, is that across a long period of time, they appreciate in value. And the reason for that is because the demand kind of stays the same or increases, but the supply goes down, right? Because there's only a limited amount of Bitcoin, there's only a limited amount of gold, and you're trying to mine stuff you can't mine as much as people want it. So that's the reason for the increase, the price appreciation there. I think it's a good store of value, and I think it's a good way to look at how you want to store your wealth over across time and across space, of course, right? So I think we touched upon this a little bit yesterday in one of the long form live streams that we did. But gold is very good at storing value over time, but not space, because it's very difficult to move. It's really heavy, blah blah. Everybody knows this, right? So Bitcoin and digital currencies in general are much better at doing transferring or storing wealth across time and space. So this is the reason why I think, and we think, that digitizing commodities on the blockchain in a decentralized manner is a very very strong value proposition for investors who or people in general who wish to store wealth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Chrome, how about you, man? Where do you think the markets are going?
Oh man, I think I pretty much agree with those boys. I don't want to ramble on or pretty much say exactly what was already said, but I actually just noticed, like I was just looking and I didn't even realize this morning that Bitcoin's all the way up to almost 28K. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good sentiment. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting. I'm not sure if we're quite out of the woods yet, but things are definitely looking up on the charts today.
that's for
But
sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But with all that said, why don't we take a quick dive into each of your guys' backgrounds? I know we have 4 of you guys, so we can try and move it quick. But each of your guys' backgrounds, where you come from, and then dive into what your role is on the team.
Yep. So I'll kick it off here. So yeah, my name is Chrome, also known as Monkey, and also known as Jacob, and I'm kind of like the head of operations, and I kind of do a lot of the community, social media management, stuff like that. I've been in the space for a couple of years now, and I've always been super interested in the technology projects and teams, and just really interesting projects and things that are really bringing utility. And so I've been around. Sorry, excuse me. I've been around and I've kind of seen what has worked and what hasn't worked in some projects and some teams. And I feel like it's kind of led me to this point where I can help provide some real value and kind of do a whole lot of different stuff. But yeah, it's kind of me. And Doc or Crip or MP can go on.
Yeah, I can hop in real quick. So, hi everybody. My name's Doc, or I go by Brian in the real world. So, I'll give you a quick overview of myself. I am a physician in sort of the real world every day. Have been so for about 15 years. I've also developed probably about 10 years ago. I started pursuing my more entrepreneurial side. I now have multiple businesses. One of them is multinational. I've been a really big angel and seed investor in the DeFi space. I've always been a gold bug and a precious metals guy as well. So I've been fortunate enough to meet all the other founders. It's not like we just met each other the other day. We've known each other for a long time, well over a year, and worked together on this project for a long time. So my role at the protocol, I would say, is really protocol oversight and direction, investor relations and protocol relations as well. Crip Sam and I, you work pretty closely, sort of on an outreach basis as well. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Good stuff. How about for you,
Yeah.
Crip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, MP.
Sorry.
Go ahead. He's primed.
I'll go next. Mine's very short. I do most of the technical stuff. I bridge the gap
Mhm.
between the marketing as well as the operations and the dev side. I do have a limited understanding or at least a better understanding of code than most, I would say, in the space. So I find it a lot easier to work with them. And then sometimes you need to translate what you want as an idea into code, right? So your code must match what you're trying to achieve. So that's what I do. And then I also I also kind of help the dev team out a little bit when they need to explain stuff or come up with timelines and all that kind of stuff.
For sure. For sure. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll explain a bit about me. So, hey everybody, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Zach. Live in Montana, kind of love the outdoors, extreme sports, entrepreneur at heart, hence why it kind of led me to decentralized finance. I've always been intrigued by finance, and some of the one of the gentlemen I used to work for a while back kind of took me under his wing. He was a very successful man, and kind of helped me learn the ropes as I developed that entrepreneurial spirit. So, as everybody knows, anybody that's an entrepreneur, it's definitely a big leap of trusting in yourself when you decide to make that jump. That's tough. It's not easy to do. And, hats off to everybody that does it, because if you're like me and you didn't really have any money to start, and then, you see a success, and it's rewarding, and it kind of, if you're in it for the long haul, it's beneficial for everybody. So I'll say I've been an angel and seed investor in DeFi for quite some time now. Been supporter of many different projects. Developed a hell of a network over the past 10 years, I'd say. That's kind of my strong suit, is networking. So I'm excited to introduce everybody to my network over time. And I'm excited because Collective Finance is going to directly benefit from that network, I believe. And so, yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the biz dev side that you and Gold are kind of tackling together. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Why don't we dive into a little bit of what Collectify is trying to accomplish? I know we've had some teasers on the gold, and I know you mentioned Bitcoin Chrome, but in general, I think it'd be good to dive into that right now and what separates you from other things. But I'll let you guys go through your pitch first. I got a handful of questions already, but whoever wants to take it away, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give the quick and dirty of what collective finance is. So we're a project on Binance or BSC, and we're here to provide a secure and safe way that you can gain exposure to and earn yield on commodities and hard assets such as gold, silver, and diamonds. So right now, there's really no great way for people all around the world to gain exposure to and also earn yield on your gold sitting in your safe, your silver sitting in your safe, stuff like that. So we want to solve that issue by digitizing and over collateralizing commodities on Binance to allow easy and safe exposure and allow a way to earn yield on that as well. So yeah, a big issue is that in regular TradFi, like you can get gold and you can hold physical gold, but obviously an ounce of gold is around $2,000. It's a really high barrier of entry for many. You're also limited to 9 to 5, like weekdays 9 to 5. There's brokers with high fees, and yeah, it just sits there. You can't do anything with it. So what we're going to do is launch what we're going to call C tokens, and they're going to be over collateralized commodity representations. And we're going to be starting that off with gold, and we're going to be calling the token CGLD. And it's going to be fully backed and over collateralized by PaxG sitting on the Ethereum network in a multi-sig gnosis safe. So the reason for that is we want to keep everything fully backed and over collateralized by an asset that they represent. So PaxG is a one-to-one physically backed gold asset. So every one PaxG is fully backed and redeemable for 1 physical ounce of Troy gold. So the issue with PaxG though is that it's only on Ethereum. So you can't move it to any other network, trade it anywhere else. And a lot of people don't want to use Ethereum because of the high fees. It's also a $2,000 token, so there's a pretty high level of entry there for some people. And yeah, that's what we're here to solve is by issuing C tokens. It's kind of the rough overview.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. So let's dive I know you kind of gave a little very, very rough piece, but why don't we dive a little bit deeper into the main reason being that you can hold gold and earn yield, correct?
Yeah.
So why don't we dive a little bit more into how that process works and how your system actually works as far as all that goes.
Yeah, Doc, if you're here, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about C tokens and over collateralization and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, excuse my voice here. So we'll just stick to the gold, I think, because that's the easiest. But the idea, like Chrome said, really what we're going after is sort of this apples to apples. So if we have a gold token, it's backed by actual gold. Same thing with silver. So that way, whenever there's price movement in either direction, it's consistent, right? So you're not backing up gold with, say, dollar equivalents or even another different crypto. So I think that's the first concept to understand. When you look at our model, we'll take gold for example. We're going to be using PaxG for the collateral for our C gold token. So PaxG, as Monkey said, 1 PaxG is equal to 1 troy ounce of gold. And that gold is actually held in a vault in London. So it's real, actual, tangible collateralization. So what we will do whenever we say we're going to collateralize by largely no less than plus 5 to 10%, what that means is that you could imagine if we have 10 PaxG on the Ethereum side that are sitting in a vault, we will then be able to create 9 CGLD on the BSC chain, right? And our C gold tokens are going to be actually equal to 1 gram of gold just because it's a much lower price point and ease of entry. But that's how the collateralization part of this will work. And then participants will gain access to those C tokens through a traditional liquidity pool. So this will be on the Vertex DEX, who we're going to be hosted on, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But then participants will be able to not only acquire some of the C Gold or C tokens, but then they'll be able to form liquidity within that pool, earn dual emission rewards in the form of our native token CLF and the DEX token VRTK, and then traditional, I would say, mining rewards as well. So that's just an overview of how the collateralization and the trading pattern will work.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, that definitely clears a lot of it up. Where are the percentages going? So you guys have your raise coming up. First, let's start off with the date. When is that?
Yeah, we opened the pre-sale actually yesterday morning.
Okay.
So we closed off our angel / seed round, which is just kind of like the initial raise in at the beginning of the month. And then we just opened up the pre-sale, and we're gonna aim to raise for a soft cap of 150K, so 150,000, and then a hard cap of 500,000.
Gotcha. Awesome stuff. And then how long is this going on for? Or is
Great
there
It's going to
Okay.
be for approximately 2 weeks or until the hard cap is met within that time frame.
Okay. Good stuff. Go
Something
ahead,
real
Gold.
quick. So, yeah, sorry to hop in. Something unique about the pre-sale that's going on that people should know. In a traditional pre-sale, let's say our native token is CLF. We haven't talked about that too much yet, but let's say you're going to buy in with $1,000. In our pre-sale, it's you're getting a 10% discount or a 10% premium. But in traditional pre-sales, that would mean that you would get back, let's say, $1,100 worth of CLF. We're doing it differently in that we're actually giving back liquidity positions. So if you come in with, say, $1,000, you'll receive in return $1,100 worth of a liquidity position, right? We think this is a really big deal for a number of reasons that we can go into. But it gives participants the ability to sort of move forward quickly and cheaply in whatever way they want. It also is going to mean, what happens a lot. You get your tokens from the pre-sale. You want to continue to participate and you want to make liquidity, but you still need to come up with the additional capital for that other liquidity portion, right? We decided to take that out of it. And then it's also important. We'll go into it, I'm sure, in a little more detail, but with our lock staking platform that we have. So it'll give participants the ability to enter into that really quickly. So, and we have an NFT. There's an NFT special that's going on with our pre-sale as well. I'll let one of the other guys talk about that. But this is really our pre-sales the last time to enter into our ecosystem at a discount, and then to obtain one of these NFTs which will actually help you to earn gold, some of our gold tokens.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned that you might go a little bit deeper into the reasons for all that stuff. Do you want to dive there? Dive into all that?
Yeah, absolutely. When you say reasons, will you, just so I can make sure I'm talking about the the right thing for you?
Yeah. So you said that there were certain reasons that you guys were going about the liquidity in a different fashion, or about the raise and giving percentage liquidity.
Yes, yeah. Sorry about that. So with regard to going about the raise this way and giving back liquidity, I think it's some of the reasons that I mentioned. Number one, it results in thick liquidity right from the start, which is beneficial for the whole ecosystem. Number two, and traditionally, whenever there's going to be liquidity that's created right off the start, it's really mostly largely owned by the protocol, right? It's a PLL position. What does this mean? That largely means that a lot of the rewards are directed that way, whether it's mining or emission rewards. We feel that we're going to give participants the opportunity to really be involved in there too. This does not, I want to clarify this too, this does not mean that we're not going to have a large protocol-owned liquidity position as well. That will be an addition. And then, like I said, I think it offers the participants the way to sort of move forward however they want. Do they want to lock stake this position? Do they want to break part of the position and try to take some profit? It really gives them the ultimate flexibility. So I think those are probably the primary reasons why we felt that this pre-sale format would be better. I don't know if any of the other guys want to say anything else.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, I'll jump in too as real quick. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
because
clear.
my mic's you're on a different headphone set now. I'll say that I think the way we structured it too is palatable for more Web 2 investors as well, because it's not like the pre-sale isn't set up like at a 50% discount, so at launch, the tokens get dumped, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we tried not to set it up that way, but the incentive is part of that NFT, or part of the incentive is that NFT. That NFT is essentially, it's not necessarily $1,000 in value, but you have to spend $1,000 and lock it in order to get it, right? So it does create value within that NFT. So you could look at it as a premium as well. It's like a little perk when you enter for a certain amount. So I'll say that we are, with the off-chain investment stuff that I'm working on, these guys like it a lot more than what they're seeing on some of these other projects. And it's just because we're not trying to offer, a quick flip. It's built off of longevity. So
Yeah. Why don't we dive a little bit deeper? Like, with all that said, why don't we dive a little bit deeper into the actual percentages on like, for example, when you like right off launch, where percentages for funds are going and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think we can do that for sure. It's probably, if you're okay with it, to maybe dive into like our lock staking program
Sure.
first, because that
Do
sort of
that.
gets into revenue streams, and then that will make sense when we talk about where the pre-sale funding is gonna go. Is that okay?
Yeah, 100%. Take it away.
Perfect. Chrome, go ahead. You want to walk everybody through that, please?
Yeah. Sorry. Absolutely. So we have a pretty unique lock staking system that we've created for our platform. So essentially, the way it works is you're gonna enter in with the first step is you're gonna want to create liquidity. And so if you participate in the pre-sale, you're already set up. You're gonna get liquidity at launch. So it's perfect. You're gonna take that liquidity position and you're gonna go to the Vertex DEX and you're gonna stake it. After staking it, you'll receive what's called a gauge token or a receipt token. That token represents your staked liquidity position on the DEX. You can lock stake that receipt token on the collective finance platform in our lock staking program, and you can include it in a one of 4 different time frames. And so those time frames are 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and 180-day. And so the rewards get split up out of like 100%. We weight it to go, more heavily to the 180-day, and then it'll go kind of down in a tier. So 180-day gets the most rewards, then the 90-day gets the second most, then the 60-day gets the next most, and the 30-day gets like the least, right? So we want to incentivize users to lock up for the longest amount of time. So when locking, sorry, excuse me. When locking this liquidity token and everything, it creates what we call XCLF, which is actually an NFT. This NFT represents your locked liquidity position as well as earns you yield and rewards in not only stable coins, but also Bitcoin and also our C tokens, so like C Gold, and as well as CLF tokens. So you get like a basket of rewards when creating XCLF. And so it's an NFT, which is a really good point to note because it allows for a secondary market, meaning that you can have, in a sense, semi-liquid lock staking, right? Because you can have a locked position that you can actually sell off to somebody else, whether that be 90 cents on the dollar or for just what the LP position is worth. But it kind of takes the sting away from the whole locking, right? So that NFT will earn you the rewards that I just talked about, which come from our 3 different revenue streams, which are the vault, treasury, and the portfolio. And so that's where we can dive a little bit deeper here into our revenue streams and where those come from. So the treasury, I'll quickly explain, is kind of just like a traditional treasury you see in a lot of other projects. It's going to be the holder of our POL, the protocol owned liquidity. It's going to be earning some of the fees throughout the different parts of the ecosystem. It's also going to have a good bag of CLF tokens and everything like that. So kind of just think of the treasury as a traditional treasury, but it'll be with its POL position, it'll be farming and staking on the Vertex DEX to earn fees, earn dual token emissions, and be able to create a voting escrow position, a Volta position within the Vertex DEX to vote for its own pools and shift emissions and incentivize users to create liquidity and come into the pools. So yeah, that's kind of the gist. I'll let Doc, if he's around, to jump and talk about the vault.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk about the vault. And whenever we get done talking about vault portfolio and treasury, I'd like NP to sort of talk more about XCLF and that being represented as an NFT, because that's something really unique, and it's going to give a collective, I don't know, we think a pretty big sort of strategic advantage. But the vault is, at least from my perspective, really like the backbone of collective finance. And think about the vault as the holder and creator of our C tokens, right? So our commodity tokens. So the vault would include what those, so for example, with gold, the vault will include that holding of PAX-G on the Ethereum side, as well as the entire initial POL, the protocol owned liquidity position, a CGLD and stable on the Vertex DEX. The vault will also be essentially the only entity that's able to mint or create CGLD tokens, and it will always maintain that over collateralization ratio that we discussed. From a revenue standpoint, it's really a few different things. One mechanism internal, one sort of a little bit of both. But the internal mechanism will be from launch, as we discussed. The entire position will initially be a protocol-owned liquidity position. This will not only enable us to get traditional sort of mining rewards, as well as emissions yield, which is dual in nature in the form of our native token CLF and then VRTK. But there will also be trading fees within that pool. There's no taxes on the commodity tokens, but there is a 2% in and a 2% out fee. That will directly result in revenue going towards collective finance as well as the DEX. And it's actually pretty unique in that revenue is distributed in the form of VPT tokens, which are actually LP tokens. So this will result intrinsically in that position growing over time from that revenue. So that's the fast and dirty version of the vault. But think about it as sort of the holder and creator of our C tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
Sorry,
it going.
go
Keep it going. No, go
I
for
was
it.
to say, I'll hop into the portfolio too. So the portfolio is a collection of on-chain assets that are outside revenue stream focused. So that's an important note. All the focus is on outside revenue streams. So I'll say we have made a couple investments to kickstart our portfolio even before the launch of the pre-sale. So it is very important to us. It's an important key part of the external revenue influx or flow into the protocol. So we are focusing heavily on that as well. I'll be covering, and we will be covering our plans moving forward with some of these things that are lining up in the back end. And it'll be in an announcement or on an AMA here fairly shortly as we get these together and presentable.
Got it. Sorry, what's up? No, I wasn't sure if you were quite done.
Well, I didn't know if do you have any questions or anything so far? I mean, I can keep going if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'm the only one that I would come to mind is why don't we dive a little bit more into some of those investments that are outside the system?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about that. Right now, we've engaged on 3, one being Kyoto, one being Vertex DEX, and one being artificial intelligence trading bots. So that's the 3 that we have engaged on. The AI bots. I'm not going to discuss any names or anything, but at this point, but we have already engaged. That'll be announced here pretty soon. I want to, I want all the focus to be, kind of on this pre-sale. I know this is an important key part, but beyond what we've already invested in as well, I'm working on my network. My connections have some very good resources for passive revenue, and so I'm really excited to discuss more in depth with them. I have a call with one of them today about one in particular, so that will, if things go well, then I can announce that as well.
If I can add on to this real quick too, I think it's one of the important things to note, especially about the portfolio. We talked about how it's outside revenue. It's not within the protocol, right? I think that's a really, really key point to make. With regard to the portfolio's direction, as Cripsom said, it's going to be sort of diversified through those different, I guess, options. From a direction standpoint, when we created, I think we mentioned I've been a big angel investor, as has Cripsom. We really believe that our angel investors, that it's more than just capital, that it's intellectual and collaborative, value there too significantly, and we want to try to harness that. So we've created something with our angels called the Angels Table, and it's really almost like an advisory board, a watered down board of directors or governors, and we are going to be working with them directly with regard to how, when, where the portfolio is mobilized, right? So that these decisions won't just be made solely by the core team. They'll come under the direction and oversight of some of our biggest protocol participants as well. So I think that's an important piece to note. And then, one of the ideas behind the 3 revenue streams we have is that there's a mix of internal and external revenue as well. So it's not completely reliant on one or the other. So sorry if I cut you off, Crip. Didn't mean to, bud.
No, you're fine. That was a really important piece. I'm sorry. I haven't had any coffee this morning, and I'm headed to go get some right now. And I've been up for 4 hours, so I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, that's a good point, Doc. Thank you for bringing that up. I always kind of I call it almost like a tier, how these investments will somewhat be decided upon. So we're excited to kind of engage on that. When I call it a tier, it's the levels of decision making within the protocol. So it starts out with the team, then goes to the angels, governance holders, and then if community has some really good ideas, we're always open to that as well.
Awesome. And what's required to become an angel?
So our
As
seed
of,
round, oh yeah, sorry, go
Doc.
ahead, Crip.
Go ahead.
You want me
No,
to
you're
go
fine.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so we had officially, ended our angel seed round probably, can't remember, a week, 10 days ago. We have a package that was available. It was a minimum entry of $5,000. I think one of the important things to note here, we've had some questions. There's always concern when there's a seed round or an angel round about how those seed investors receive their tokens. Is there going to be the potential for a dump, that type of thing? So just so everybody's clear with our protocol, we have some experience doing this in the past. We provided our seed round investors with a really good and robust offer, we think, but it's also very good for the protocol. When our seed round investors receive their portions, it's going to be in a mix of XCLF, which, as Chrome said, it's locked, right? So it comes initially locked in one of those higher tiers. Then any premium that they're receiving on their tokens is in a slow, dripped out, vested fashion, right? And then they receive a special angel NFT. So I think the point behind that is that there's not a large bolus of our native tokens that can be dumped right from start. So on top of that, our angels, we have a small group. You're talking about a few handfuls. We know them all personally, and they got into collective because they believe in what we're doing and our vision. So it's really not set up from a dump and make all the seed round investors a quick buck type setup.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any way to be included in that governance board if you haven't been any, or if you aren't an angel yet? Like, is there any kind of pre-sale outlet or like I guess an increased pre-sale amount that you'd have to purchase for that? Or
No,
is that off the
no,
table?
nope. There's absolutely, and this will actually lead into XCLF even more, and then NP can
Mhm.
take on that. So yes, we have it set up so the ultimate sort of largest part of governance will be community driven, and it's going to be through XCLF holders. So important to make that it's not by just holding our native token; it's by participating in the Liquid Lock Stake platform, right? So the we already have sort of a governance portion built in through our D app. The idea behind community governance that it will be a sort of slowly rolled out and increased factor over time, right? That the idea is to make sure that the ship is sailing on the right path first, really engage the angels, and then continue sort of downstream from there. So there will be protocol governance, and it will be through XDLF holders, right? And NP, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wouldn't mind talking more about XCLF and how we've sort of been able to take a locked asset and give it a market of its own, I think it would be, people would love to hear that. That's okay.
Yeah, sure. So in a I think everybody understands at this point what a normal lock stake is, right? You put it in, you choose a time frame, and then most of the time, the longer you lock, the more rewards you get. Now, the thing about that is a lot of people are risk averse. They don't really like to lock out their tokens for long periods of time, and sometimes the APRs for the lower time frames aren't as attractive as you necessarily would like them to be as a protocol. So what we did instead is for the XCLF platform, meaning when you lock your liquidity on our staking platform into, you receive this thing called XCLF. Now the thing is that XCLF is not a normal ERC20 token; it'll be a ERC 721. So what that means is that it's technically an NFT, but the nice thing about that is that we can hold a lot of data inside. So because we can hold a lot of data, we can have your stake, the time frame, how long is left to unlock, how much you staked in, as well as how much rewards you are owed, be attached to that NFT, that XCLF token, right? So, and then every time you make a lock or you create a new lock, you create a new XCLF token, and then you can merge all of the XCLF tokens in the same tier. So we have 4 tiers: 30, 60, 90, 180. And any NFTs that you have in the same tier can be merged into one. And then the nice thing about XCLF is that it will be transferable. So you can transfer it from one person to another, or you can put it on the marketplace and sell it. So that will create a secondary market on the NFT marketplace, which will allow some like market speculation as to how much value that particular lock is worth. So even though technically it's an NFT, what you're actually selling or you're actually trading peer-to-peer is your locked stake. And your locked stake consists of not only the underlying asset, which is the liquidity that has been locked inside, but also the rewards, because you can transfer rewards from one person to another, or yield. So you can think of these XCLF NFTs as yield-bearing assets that you can kind of shift around. So the fact that they are locked doesn't really affect the investor in the same way that it would if it was not transferable. So I say that again, the fact that it's locked will not affect an investor the same way as it would if the lock is not transferable. So now, since they are transferable, you can move them around. Let's say you got about 2 to 3 days left on a lock before it on a stake before it unlocks. You can probably sell it for quite a high amount on the marketplace to someone else who would take it off your hands, get a couple of rewards, and then unlock, and then be able to reallocate his or her CLF BTC position. So that's one. Second thing is also this leads, like I was saying earlier, to the secondary market, where the value of your XCLF lock will be market driven in some sense, because it's yield bearing. So the more it's making, the more people are going to want it, and then also you can keep minting them. So for example, if you want your position to hold your position of, let's say, about 10,000 or something, but then maybe perhaps the price of CLF has pumped a lot and BTC as well, and you want to liquidate or to lock in some profit, then you could take a little bit of that, sell it off as an XCLF NFT to someone else who's locked, and in doing that, you get to realize your profit. Somebody else gets to enter without price impact, and the protocol still gets to have all the liquidity locked in the staking platform. So it's a win-win-win for everybody involved.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a really, really interesting mechanism that you guys have implemented that I have not seen before. Transferable. I mean,
Locked
it
stake,
really
yeah.
is just transferable staking. So that's super, super interesting. Yeah, I want to leave some room for questions. Why don't we dive into anything else you guys have, and then I'll start bringing up some of these questions we got.
I think
Chris-
okay. So let me
go
finish
ahead.
up on the.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead.
So let me just finish up on the NFTs then. I think the important thing to consider when you're thinking about locked transferable stakes is that you can realize profit without dumping the token, and you can realize profit by trading peer to peer, and you still maintain the value of the underlying asset because you don't have to sell the token in order to realize your profit. And most people who will be moving their stakes around, let's say on the marketplace to other people, it will still maintain a very nice liquidity depth for the protocol. So I think that's a very important point, and that's really what we try to aim for when we are conceptualizing this lock staking. Okay.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Sorry, Goldock, were you gonna say something as well?
No, NP just really hit on part of the point. I could never explain that better than him. But what this also makes is the treasury is always a buyer, right? Because when you look at these positions represent a locked liquidity position with yield earning potential, right? So if that can be obtained on a discount, the treasury will always be buying, right? And then what happens in that case? It's really good for the whole circular ecosystem within the protocol too. So that it's really there's always going to be a market for it, and I won't be redundant in what NP said, but we feel that this is a really, really big deal in our opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I have not seen something quite like what you guys are describing. Was there anything else regarding your ecosystem that you guys wanted to touch up on before we dive into a couple questions here?
I think do you guys think we touched enough on the NFTs that everybody understands those, or that's something Chrome, do you maybe just want to tell everybody real quick, like the difference between, okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give a quick explanation between the two. So right now at launch, we'll have two NFT collections. That will be the Angel NFTs, which are for all of the Angel participants, and then we'll have the pre-sale NFTs, which are for obviously pre-sale participants. So the Angel NFT is for the Angels, and it earns rewards in all of the C tokens that we plan to launch over time. It also gives you CLF emissions, not a lot, but just enough. And then it also gives you a 50% tax discount within the ecosystem. So there's going to be small little fees and taxes when participating in the project. And so those will be paid in the CLF token. The NFT will actually give you the Angel NFT will give you a 50% discount on those taxes. So just a nice little benefit for those. The pre-sale NFT is acquired by spending $1,000 or more into the pre-sale and then locking that position at launch. So it's key to note that to get the pre-sale NFT, it's $1,000 per NFT. So if you do $2,000, you'll get two. But to receive that, you have to lock your entire position. You receive the LP position at launch into any of the forward lock staking tiers. So it has to go in either the 30, the 60 to the 90, or the 180. So it doesn't matter which one, as long as you just take that position, lock it all. So the pre-sale NFT is similar to the Angel NFT, except it's only going to be getting rewards from the C Gold token. So the Angel NFT gets all of the C tokens. It'll be rewards in gold and then silver, diamonds as those come out. But the pre-sale NFT is C Gold focused. So it's basically just a gold reward NFT over time. It also gives you a little bit of CLF emissions as well as a 20% tax discount within the ecosystem. So Angel NFT gives you a 50%, the pre-sale NFT will give you a 20% tax discount within the ecosystem. And just to clarify, the tax discount is not for trading like the tokens, it's just for the ecosystem taxes.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Definitely makes sense. What are and this is something I just have this question, but where are all the fees going on launch, right? You guys raise 150K, or you guys are raising 150 to 500. Let's say you guys hit, 400,000. Where do those funds go?
Yeah, good question. We actually kind of forgot about that, but thank you for bringing that back up. So essentially around 30 to 35 or 40, it's between 30 to 40% goes to liquidity. So because we're giving out liquidity positions at launch, so that means we need to create our protocol own liquidity as well as give liquidity to all of the participants. So yeah, roughly 30 to 40%. And then the rest of that will get split and kind of voted on by us and the angels on where we want to split it between, creating Seagold, like for the backing of Seagold, as well as funding the portfolio. So that's where majority of the funds will go, is between the portfolio so that we can generate some outside revenue and continue to grow, as well as the initial backing for the Seagold token so we can have a strong starting liquidity position in gold. Then the rest will be some marketing and some operational costs, but that'll be a very small chunk of the majority.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if I can just add real quick too, I think that's why I wanted to talk about that other stuff before we got into it. The actual percentages outside of the liquidity, what will go to the portfolio, CGLD, some is treasury reserves. A lot of that's gonna depend on sort of which way the pre-sale goes as well for us too, right? So those percentages could change slightly depending on the capital amount of the raise. But that was a good breakdown that Chrome gave. Sort of, we have a lot of different things that need to happen with the pre-sale funds. It's not just, hey, we got to make liquidity for one pool here. It's two liquidity pools and then mobilization of the portfolio as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll be super intrigued. I'll be paying attention to how this pre-sale goes, because you guys definitely have a super interesting protocol, and I think it's the core concept of being able to invest into one of the more stable assets out there, the blue chips of the world in general, and be able to earn yield on those. It's super interesting concept.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to dive into a couple of these questions if that's good with you guys. The first one is, what is the main reason I should become a whale here versus other projects out there?
Doc?
Yeah, I'll take this one too. And I spent a lot of money in a lot of protocols. I'll tell you that, in my opinion, right, and this is not investment advice, please, but I think it's for safety, stability, and diversification, and I'll tell you why. Whenever you participate in collective finance, you get, I talked about this a little earlier, but you get a little bit of exposure to everything. You get a typical, I would say, potentially volatile DeFi token in our native token in CLF. You then also get exposure to Bitcoin, which I think probably everybody has a predilection to and thinks there's potential upside. Then you move down into gold. And I say down into gold. It's maybe you move over into gold, which that speaks for itself. It's a 11-12 trillion dollar market cap. Right. And then you have the stables, which we always joke now and call them the not so stables anymore. But if I have a lot of money, I'm not just going to gamble it on one different thing, right? To me, it's diversification of that exposure. And then from there, it enables investors and participants really to move forward however they want. Are they more conservative and they want about capital preservation, and maybe that leads them over towards the gold side? Or rather, are they looking for potential growth and sort of moonshot side, and that would be more towards the CLF. So in my opinion, that's why, to me, if I was investing a lot of money, collective would be very, very appealing to me. I think the other thing too is that I like to say that their collective finance is going to carry an underlying net asset value to it as a protocol, right? And why is that? It's because of the vault and the portfolio. These assets have real value, and by design of the protocol, these are set not only to return yield to participants, but for intrinsic growth, right? So ultimately, that provides a floor, right? And we this is something we tried to build more around traditional business principles than DeFi business principles, right? So I know that's a long-winded answer. Sorry about that, but if I was putting a lot of money in, and I and I have, I think I would. That those would be the things I looked at most.
Gotcha. Awesome. Awesome. I love the experience that you're speaking with. Next up, Austin, I'm going to skip yours. But next up we have, do you guys actually hold gold? Where's the store of value coming from? Let's start there.
Yeah, it's always a pretty important thing to note, that we're keeping everything on chain. So everything that we're doing is going to be stored on chain, whether that be for the over collateralization, everything like that, because it's very hard going through the process of like full regulation, doing physically backing and everything like that. So that's where PaxG comes in, and it takes away that blow for us because they've already gone through that. They have like $600 million worth of gold. They've been audited like many times. They're fully regulated through New York. So with PaxG, it's a one-to-one gold-backed asset, and that's kind of the store of value for the backing of our C Gold token. We've been, very familiar with PaxG for I think over a year now, and we've all been holders and lovers of the token, and we have full belief in it. Even in the reports, recently, because Paxos is the company that issues PaxG and is the same company that does BUSD and everything. Within the report of like BUSD, it clearly stated that Pax Dollar and PaxG were not affected like at all. They're completely safe and everything. So yeah, we have a full belief in what PaxG and Paxos is offering, and that's kind of where the initial store value will be for the C Gold token.
Yeah, I believe both of those are actually regulated. So they like people go in and verify that those
Yes.
assets are there. Okay. So you guys are basically taking yourselves out of the equation of someone having to trust a random figure that's emerging in the space, and then keeping all of your data on chain so that, someone that might, you could say that you were getting audited, but that doesn't really mean much unless you guys have the funds to actually pay for, for people to come and actually check that you have gold on hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Definitely makes sense. And then, are you guys paying in native tokens or stables?
So for the commodity like C tokens and stuff, it's going to be a mixture of project tokens as well as the fees that you earn from creating liquidity. So that's why there's the 2% fees, as well as with the DEX. There's the voting escrow, so you can vote emissions and kind of incentivize users to come in, create liquidity, and all that. So for C tokens, you're going to get more stables, more gold, as well as earn the dual token rewards and the Vertex token and the CLF token. But then with the CLF token, I actually don't know if we touched on this, but CLF is paired with Bitcoin on Binance. So it's CLF BTCB. That liquidity pair is what you lock or stake in the Vertex DEX and then lock within the collective finance platform, and then it earns you the basket of rewards in stable coins, gold, Bitcoin, and more CLF tokens.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. And then, what if the liquidity position? What happens if the liquidity position goes down in value?
What do you mean? You mean the whatever is locked in the
Yeah, I'm
in the
guessing that's
staking
what they're
platform?
getting at.
Okay, so think about it this way. So the way that rewards are distributed, right, is that everybody has a percentage share of the pool. So let's say all five of us are inside the pool, right? We each have 20% of the pool, and our LP is valued at $10 now. Now, if that LP drops in value to about $5, that doesn't affect the percentage share that we have. So the rewards remain the same, even though the liquidity, let's say, if the price of Bitcoin or CLF goes down a little bit, even if the price of the underlying asset goes down, your percentage share of the rewards will still stay the same. So that's one thing. And then the second thing to consider with that is that you can also have the potential to the upside, like I was saying earlier. If let's say you want to lock in some profit, you could sell your lock stake as an NFT on the marketplace to someone else who would pick it up, or even to the treasury sometimes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So the percentages help ensure that you're not losing on price depreciation.
So yeah, I think that's an important point. So even though everybody always talks about price depreciation of your lock, right, of your position, but that only matters if everybody else doesn't move with you, but everybody's moving with you. So and the percentage kind of still stays the same. Of course, this will also be affected by people leaving or entering the ecosystem at the same time. But by and large, the percentage share shouldn't it won't change as long as nobody exits or enters before or after you are. Naturally, that will happen, but I think most positions will be won't move. There'll be a small percentage of people who are leaving or coming in, but most positions will move. So yeah.
Gotcha. And then last couple here, what is the seed price versus pre-sale price versus the launch price?
Okay, actually, I can take this one. So I think we need to clarify a little bit for we worded it very simply so that people understand. We put it as a 10% discount, but basically that means you just get 10% more back than what you put in, dollar value wise. But the way that it functions mechanically in the back, it's a little bit more complex than that. So it's not just we're going to give you more tokens than what is value at launch. What it is that you get a bonus on the liquidity that you have. So for example, if we form the liquidity at 0.70 or 70 cents, which is what we're aiming for CLF, then you would get enough LPs that is worth as if the CLF was worth 0.77 instead. So you get a little bit more. So 10% bonus. I think that's a good way to describe it for people who don't understand the mechanics of how liquidity pools work. But essentially, you just get a bonus of about 10%. So also keep in mind, this is not a traditional pre-sale where you just buy the token at a discount and then you get more of it than everybody else. So yeah, because we're giving back liquidity, we had to do it this way, where we give you a bonus rather than you buy it at a discount.
Gotcha. No, I think it's an interesting way to phrase it, and it's easy to understand.
Right.
And then last couple ones, where are you guys at as far as the raise? How much have you raised so far with the seed raise? I know you're just starting pre-sale.
Yeah, we started at about 9 a.m. on St. Patrick's Day, and I think everybody was asleep or drunk, so we didn't get much traction in the beginning, but but as soon as America woke up, I think we got about 16, 17, moving on to about 20 grand now for the pre-sale. So that's first day. We got the first 24 hours, and then we got another 14 days to go, which we'll be doing, and then we have this marketing runway right during our entire pre-sale, which will be actively taking part in AMAs as well as getting some videos out, getting on live streams and YouTube, etc., etc. So along the way, we'll definitely pick up a lot more eyes, and then we fully expect this to grow very, very fast and very, very quickly.
Gotcha. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. And then I guess this would be the last one. You're backing a token from a back token. Why make a token then? I know there's an answer to this, so I'll let you guys go for it.
Yeah, as we explained earlier, the main issue with PaxG is that it's hard stuck on Ethereum, and it's very easy to say that a majority of DeFi users, they're not on Ethereum. It has extremely high fees. The price of the token itself is valued at 1 ounce, so it's like almost $2,000 right now. Not a lot of people hold it. Not a lot of people utilize it. You can't earn yield on it. So that's what we're solving, is bringing the ability to actually hold gold in a tokenized form on other networks. So the true goal of the project is over time to expand and grow, and so not just stay on Binance, but go to potentially every single chain, every network. We want to be able to provide that exposure and ability to earn yield on these hard assets all over the place, because that's the issue. It's in TradFi, it's super expensive. There's super heavy limitations, and then on Ethereum, it's the same. Not everybody trades on Ethereum. 90% of people, I think, in DeFi probably don't. It's largely for the whales, the people that can spend $20 on a transaction for just a single trade, right? So that's the issue, and that's how we're solving it.
I think like Chrome said too, just real quick, it's this earning yield, right, on those positions that helps solve an age-old problem, right? It's really hard to earn reasonable, consistent yield on those type of commodity positions. So that's a key factor that we hope to solve with our commodity RC tokens.
Mhm. Yeah, the yield piece is definitely a piece that separates you guys. And I like the idea of you guys not saying that you're going to verify all this data yourselves, or you're going to buy the gold, the hard gold, and verify it yourselves, because yeah, it's not great. You got Austin's seal of approval.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Austin. But yeah, anyways, guys, I think you guys have a phenomenal product you're building. I'm excited to hear more as time progresses and all that. Chrome, I'm sure we'll be in touch. But do you guys have any final thoughts that you want to bring up before we kind of leave you guys? If you want to drop a link to the pre-sale, that would be phenomenal. If you want to either DM that to me and I can drop it, or drop it yourselves in the AMA questions.
Yeah, I want to bring up one thing. Sorry, it's a little bit loud in here, but
go for it.
we have a hell of a marketing team, right? I don't think we touched enough on that. Our marketing team is amazing. We've brought on a CMO, and his network is incredible. You guys can kind of search around on Yahoo Finance and Benzinga, and you'll come across some of our articles. And you guys should expect to see quite a few of those pumping out this week as well. So, if you get time, go have a read. Check us out.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Serenity Serenity. Great stuff, dude. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, shout out to Serenity. He's a good friend of ours. We just had a live stream. I had like a 5.5 hour long live stream with him yesterday. So shout out to Serenity down there. I just wanted to say that, yeah, we have tons of stuff going on for, community events, competitions, giveaways, and stuff like that in our Discord.
Mhm.
And, we're super friendly and lively over there. So if you're interested, you can come join, hang out, and enter some giveaways, competitions, chat with us and stuff. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome stuff, guys. Really looking forward to keeping up and seeing where everything goes. I appreciate you guys for coming on. If you got anything you guys want to drop, just let me know and I'll throw it in our chats. But otherwise, really appreciate you guys.
No, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, and thanks for having us up here. I think we'll probably be back very soon, so expect to see us again.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Hey,
Thanks
Chris,
so
it was
much,
nice to meet you. Sorry, Doc.
Same here, guys. Same here. It's always a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate everybody here.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again, Chris.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one, guys.
You too.